Today we are going to have a sober discussion, hopefully, but also entertaining and also, of course, enlightening about is Pakatan Rakyat sustainable? Now, before we begin, I just want to say thank you to all of you who have made it here this afternoon, to our panel of speakers, Dr. Zaid, Wadi Tony, and also nanti Dr. Zulkifli akan datang. He's on his way daripada Shah Alam, insyaAllah. And before we begin, YB Nurul Izzah can't make it sebab dia baru. She's in maternity leave, so there's this belief that you can't leave the house and she's resting. But she has prepared a very simple video which we will show you after I say play.
Dr. Zaid Ibrahim, mantan Menteri Jabatan Menteri, yang berhormat Tony Kuala, Datuk Ahli Parlimen Fiji Utara, yang berhormat Zulkifli Ahmad, Datuk Ahli Parlimen. Ya, Al-Nazari serta penunjuk-penunjuknya, hadirin-hadirat, teman-teman yang berhormat sekalian, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan salam sejahtera. Selamat datang. Saya hargai kehadiran teman-teman, saudara-saudari sekalian dalam program yang mengundang perbincangan terus dalam usaha kita merangka masa depan demokrasi di Malaysia. Saya pasti saudara penipuan serta Dr. Zul akan mengambilkan buah fikiran mereka yang kritis serta lunas dalam mengupas isu-isu berkait rakyat dengan masa depan Pakatan Rakyat. Kami pernah bersama beberapa bulan lalu dalam forum di Singapura. Tetamunya berbeza, tetapi intipatinya serupa dengan tajuk perbincangan kita pada hari ini. Banyak yang telah saya pelajari daripada mereka berdua. Lebih-lebih lagi Dr. Zul yang seringkali mengetuai the intellectuals in past. Dr. Zaid pula mula-mula saya temui di kaki 5 alma mater saya, School for Advanced International Studies, SAIS, Johns Hopkins University di Washington beberapa tahun lalu. Beliau yang merupakan man of the moment, alhamdulillah, telah menyertai keluarga besar keadilan baru ini. Saya pasti kita semua menghargai pengorbanan yang telah beliau ambil dalam meletakkan jawatan demi kesetiaan pada prinsip menegakkan kebenaran dan melaksanakan perubahan politik yang amat kita perlukan. Saya mengajak semua teman menelaah buku beliau, Saya Pun Melayu tajuknya, yang berani menyatakan betapa timpangnya pemikiran UMNO serta kelemahan dasar ekonomi baru. Beliau amat arif dalam calling spade a spade. Ladies and gentlemen, the theme of the forum this afternoon is pertinent, perhaps even crucial in the interest of Malaysia's future. You see, much to my chagrin, I realize that most of the flaws we face in our democratic institutions today are not new. We are witnesses to the slow but sure degradation of Malaysia's democracy and the weakening lines that separate the rule of law, the politicians who hold political power, and the legislative responsible for the laws to approve. Ladies and gentlemen, just months ago, we legislators were intently looking at the changes made in beefing up, giving more teeth to the ACA, Anti-Corruption Agency, hence the birth of the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission. But instead, we find that a young man's life has been taken away with no apparent regard or respect to the law, accountability, and truth. Is this the result? The result of beefing up the MACC. Clearly, there is a systemic flaw in the way that the MACC dispenses its responsibility. And the tragedy of it all is it is not so much a loss to Pakatan Rakyat, but a loss to Malaysia and Malaysians. These institutions are supposed to act as a bulwark against the might of politicians and powers that be. But as they have apparently lost their independence, they merely destroy our civil liberties and hold us captive to those in power. If UMNO and the BN bring up the issue of corruption, then my counter question is this: how can we trust an institution that has allowed a tragedy, allowed Clear Hawk's death to take place in the midst of their investigations? How can anyone expect impartiality and accountability from the NCC after such an event has taken place, with hardly an explanation that is acceptable to anyone? This only adds fuel to allegations of political persecution. It just goes to show that a series of ostensibly reforms made by the BN government in the guise of new methods of judicial appointments, the beefed up MACC, and so-called improvements made in the laws of the Election Commission are mere superficialities that go nowhere in improving the state of democracy and the civil rights of Malaysians. And the problems besetting MACC are exactly the problems plaguing our judiciary, the police force, among others. Ladies and gentlemen, we do want further openness. Then they should not shut the access that opposition has to the people. Do not shut us out from the media, the press, the Rakyat. Just yesterday, by the arrest of 200 people for making the mistake of peacefully demonstrating, excessive force was also used in the use of tear gas canisters, which hit Datuk Seri Haji Hadiawang directly. The SAR and YB Kitchen at close range. I do not think any unity government will actually work out after this. So I'm not mincing my words when I say that the vision of one Malaysia remains a illusory dream. UMNO and the BN must wake up from their slumber and realize that there are two important conditions to make one Malaysia feasible. The first, civil institutions must not be abused by UMNO and the BN and used against any citizen, including the opposition. The MACC, the judiciary, the mainstream media, and the police force are not tools to be continually exploited for the benefit of the federal government, as exploitation defeats the core principle of check and balance in a working democracy. The Prime Minister seems to conveniently ignore the need to correct the failures of these civil institutions. They remain partial to the dangerous whims and fancies of the current establishment. Secondly, extensive efforts must be taken to seek and weed out corruption, even if they involve UMNO and BN leaders. The case of Khredoyo comes to mind, despite numerous police reports lodged and evidence admitted, no significant action has been taken. The model of one Malaysia might capture the imagination for the moment, as had Islam Qadari previously. But one thing for sure is that the model not truly practiced is definitely not a sustainable. The model of one Malaysia might capture the imagination for the moment, as had Islam Qadari previously. But for one thing, the model is not sustainable when it is not practiced as seriously. We believe in a Malaysian agenda that benefits all citizens, both in short and long term, instead of short-term populist pronouncements. We believe in transparency, which the current government shies away from. We believe in a strong, just, and independent civil institutions, which the current government supports. The Malaysian agenda is our just, transparent, and sustainable model for all Malaysians, Malays, Chinese, Indians, and of the rest. Ladies and gentlemen, Pakatan Rakyat must succeed as a coalition because it is crucial in the process of deepening and strengthening our democracy. I do not claim that Pakatan Rakyat is a perfect coalition without blemishes or major improvements, but the fact that we have come together today with a topic such as this proves that there is room for discussion on what needs to be done for us to emerge as a viable coalition. I believe Pakatan Rakyat's eventual solidification and success will not only provide adequate checks and balances against the federal government's transgressions, but looking forward to the future, it will help in the eventual creation of a two-party system, a superior form of electoral democracy. PM parliamentary bills
Yes,
can
sir.
result after a bargaining process between political parties. This outcome begins with the first step in ensuring Pakatan Rakyat's success as a viable coalition. Enjoy the night with warm salams and regards from myself, Shahir, Safia, and of course, Peter Karim. Thank you.